Good morning, campers. Let's start this lovely day with a lovely song from our lovely Angela Johnson. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming your way to review the most recent Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 2. It was about 10 years ago now that Scream Factory put out the first ever Blu-ray releases of Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, and it seems like not long after they put those two titles out on Blu-ray, it was actually a Blu-ray DVD combo pack for, individual releases for Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. Seemed like not long after they put those two releases out, they went out of print. So Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 on Blu-ray have been out of print for more or less the better part of the last decade. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was announced that this label that I've never heard of until these releases came out, Sandpiper Pictures, were going to be releasing Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 on Blu-ray again. And that was pretty exciting news, even though I had, the original Scream Factory Blu-ray releases of Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. It was kind of nerve-wracking, using them and watching them, knowing that they're out of print and a replacement would go for so much money. So as soon as that was announced that, we were going to get new Blu-ray releases of Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, if the price was right, I was going to be all for that and, get up what I would call kind of a backup copies of Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, which now I will be watching instead of the now freaking expensive out of print Scream Factory Blu-ray releases of Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. You guys might know that I already reviewed the Sandpiper Pictures Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 3. That's because I was able to get that Blu-ray before I was able to get Sleepaway Camp 2. I made a point to compare the original Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 2 with this Blu-ray release. I basically watched the Scream Factory one, the opening scene, and then I ejected it and popped in this new Blu-ray release of the opening scene of Sleepaway Camp 2. And I can more or less confirm that it's the exact same, film to tape transfer, the same scan. The only special features that this new Blu-ray includes is the audio commentary and trailer. Honestly, it's pretty surprising that this hole-in-the-wall, I've never heard of Sandpiper Pictures Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 2 contains such a amazingly stellar, video and audio presentation. I mean, I'm completely happy with the Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 2 that came out by Scream Factory. So I'm absolutely fine with Sandpiper Pictures using the Scream Factory scan for this release of Sleepaway Camp 2. I mean, I always thought that version looked absolutely fantastic. The colors were bright. The contrast was just glorious. The definition was glorious. I'm a film grain guy, so it had a nice amount of film grain, maybe a little more here and a little less there. But overall, the original Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 2 looked absolutely fine to me. And I'm pretty delighted that this, hole-in-the-wall, I've never heard of Sandpiper Pictures Blu-ray release looks just as good as the original Blu-ray release. I can only assume the audio is the same audio that was featured on the first Blu-ray release as well. No audio anomalies to report that I could hear. Taking a closer look at the front cover, as you can see, Sandpiper Pictures did their own version of the Sleepaway Camp 2 cover, and honestly I prefer this to the newly commissioned art on the Scream Factory Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 2. This is using basically the original poster art, original cover art from the 80s, but they kind of gave it their own little black and white and sepia look to it for whatever reason, but it works for me more or less because, they got some points for using at least the original poster/cover art, so I'm absolutely fine with that. This is what the back of the Blu-ray artwork looks like, all your logos and this and that up on the top corner. For some reason, the two still shots they used here are in black and white. I'm not exactly sure why they did that. The stills that they used on the back artwork for Sleepaway Camp 3 Blu-ray they put out, there's 3 stills, and if you've seen my video, you'll know that those are in color. Not exactly sure why these are black and white, if it's going with the black and white, /sepia artwork that they did for the front cover. I don't know if they would have done this cover art before they did the cover art for the third film, but it is strange to me that the two stills featured on the back here are black and white, because as we all know, it's a movie that is in color. Get ready for a killer summer. Years after the bloodbath at Camp Arawak, Camp Rolling Hills seems like the perfect place for fun, friendship, and classic 80s fashion. But when overly perky counselor Angela starts slashing the camper count, the bodies pile up faster than the s'mores. Whether it's pranksters, pervs, or anyone with poor manners, Angela's got a gruesome solution for every problem, packed with gory gags and twisted humor. This sequel serves up horror with a side of dark comedy. Who will survive the summer? And then it says here, this edition of Sleepaway Camp 2 Unhappy Campers contains bonus, optional, unrated audio commentary with director Michael Simpson and writer Fritz Gordon. I just think it's weird that they call it unrated audio commentary. That's just really goofy to me. Taking a look at the disc itself, this is what the new Sandpiper Pictures Blu-ray disc looks like for Sleepaway Camp 2. If you've seen my video for the new Sandpiper Pictures Blu-ray release of Sleepaway Camp 3, this will look very similar, basically the same image, which I can only assume is the woods with the lake on it. Not exactly sure what it is, but I kind of just assume that dark, or the white area at the bottom of the disc is a lake, is water, and then it's just ground and trees and sky or whatever. But honestly, like I said about the Sleepaway Camp 3 Blu-ray disc, I mean, I think this look is kind of interesting. It might be a little weird that they chose this like black and white and sepia for Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, but honestly it kind of works for me, and at the end of the day it's about the movie on the disc, not so much the disc. But I don't have a big problem with how this disc looks. Works for me. And if you look at the Sandpiper Pictures spines for Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 together, it kind of doesn't look like a lot of good planning went on here. I'm not exactly sure why these can't be a little more complementary to each other. Like Sleepaway Camp 2 has more of a white background on the spine, whereas Sleepaway Camp 3 has more of that sepia color background on the spine. Even the Sandpiper Pictures logo, one's dark, one's light. Not exactly sure why they can't be a little more complementary. Like, look, if you look at the bottom of the spines with the MGM and Blu-ray logo, like those kind of go together. You see how that works? Like, I don't know why they can't do the same basic background color, the same Sandpiper Pictures logo color. So not exactly sure why they had these spines look so different, but that's what they chose to do. But as I often say, life does go on. I don't know what the hell Sandpiper Pictures is, but I'm actually very grateful that they put out these long, frickin' out-of-print movies back on Blu-ray for people that maybe never had a chance to get them, or like in the case of me, very kind of leery about using their now out-of-print Scream Factory Blu-rays because they don't want to, screw them up or anything. So now I've got this, these new Sandpiper Pictures Blu-rays releases of Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. So I'll be watching these moving forward and leaving the, now coveted Blu-ray releases of Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 that are now out of print, that were released by Scream Factory. Those can just stay on the shelf and hopefully just remain in good shape. So thank you, Sandpiper Pictures, for putting Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 back on Blu-ray for fans to enjoy. Guess that pretty much does it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, we'll catch you on the next video. Let's start this lovely day with a lovely song from our lovely Angela Johnson. I don't think I gotta do that arm thing.